All right, welcome to class number 2 of textbook arbitrage. So today I'm going to show you various ways of searching. First off though, we're going to cover Q&A that's come in since the last webinar. All right, so let me get my questions up here. Actually, let me just put them on screen so you can see them too as we go through them. I want to cover this one first though. Okay, the first question is, how do I get questions to you before the webinar? All right, answer. It's in your members area, in the class area right here. All right, look below the orientation video and you'll see a link here that says ask your questions here if you can't be on the live sessions. All right, just right click on that and open it in a new window. And I mentioned that before, anytime you're clicking a link in here, right click and open a new window. That way you can close that window and get right back to the classroom. That's just a helpful tip. Okay, so just enter your question there and click done, and then I will, if it's a question that's more of just a personal question for you, then I will just email you an answer. If it's more for the entire class, something I think everybody will get benefit out of, then I'll post it in class, okay? Or I'll talk about it in class. All right, so that's that question. All right, next question. Do you plan to do 2 classes per week soon so we can start selling textbooks as soon as possible? Yes, that's what I'm doing now. We had our first class on Friday. Today is Sunday, so that's the 2 classes, and then we'll have the next one. The next regular class will be on next Friday, but I am going to schedule an actual additional class just so we can, some people can fast forward ahead. So I'll talk about that at the end, though. From the time Amazon says they have received my shipment of books, how long is processing shelving before it actually listed? It's usually within hours or normally no more than a day after they receive the shipment. And they'll email you and let you know. They'll say, you know, we've received your shipment and your shipment is now processing. And then they'll send you another email and say your shipment has completed processing. And that means your books are now in stock. It doesn't usually take very long. Yeah, usually the same day. Question, can books be delivered to the Amazon Fulfillment Center in my city by hand instead of ship? No, they can't. Amazon doesn't allow you to do that. Had quite a few people asking that question. I just wonder why all of a sudden that question was being raised, because you can't do that. So I just wonder if someone else is saying that you can, but no, you can't. Do you have to buy a handheld scanner? Absolutely not. And let me tell you, where a scanner comes in handy as far as looking for books, that's when you're doing offline sourcing, okay, which is not the arbitrage method. It's not the method we're talking about here. Here, you're doing all your research online. You don't need a scanner because you've got your computer, and you can actually get better information using your computer than you can with a scanner anyway. Scanners really don't give you the full picture. I do teach how to use a scanner. I have one that I prefer, but they don't give you the full picture. So you don't need to have a scanner. When is textbook season and when does it end? Okay, textbook season the first week in January until about the middle of February, and again in late July to the beginning of September. So it coincides with when school is starting back, college is starting back. And then for the second textbook season, this is also when high school starts back too, or elementary and high school. When should I send my books to Amazon? Okay, if you're trying to target the January, February textbook season, then you should be sending them in around the end of December. Okay, but don't stop sending them in. I mean, there really is no end. Textbooks sell all year round. It's just they sell. They're in more demand during that few weeks in January, early February. Okay? Okay, and that's what I'm saying there, RO. You can get in on the first textbook season, but even after that, there's still plenty of business, okay? So don't think you've missed anything if you don't get in there. Okay? that's the last question I had. I checked questions about 3 hours ago, so if you ask the question after then it's not on this list because I had to get prepared for the class. So I'll cover it the next time we meet. Okay, so let me go over a couple more things in the members area here. I added a couple of tutorials in case you missed my email when I sent this out. I added a tutorial on installing the Keepa plugin. So that's there. You can watch that one. It's a very, very short tutorial. And another tutorial on using the Xmind mind map software. So Xmind is this software here, and it's free. If you haven't gotten it yet, watch the video so you can get it installed and start using it. I've got in the video, I've got some instruction just on how to navigate around the mind maps and things like that. Okay. All right, let's see what else we have here. Okay, so that's pretty much it as far as the members area right now. Let me go back to the mind map. I've done a lot of work to this mind map. So I'm going to put each class mind map in the members area, and you're going to find them below the video. So if you go to live class 1, which was December the 9th, Friday, if you look under this video, you'll see the class mind map, okay? But I'm going to use the same mind map for each class. I'm just going to add to it as we go, okay? So this is a living document here. And I've done some stuff on this one, and I'll upload it as soon as class is finished, but I wanted to make it a little easier for you to find stuff. So if you look up here, and you can also, on the mind map, you can reduce the size of it. The zoom level right down here. Notice I'm down here at the bottom. You can just click on the minus button and it reduces the size. So you can kind of see everything all at once. All right, and then you can move around and then zoom it back in. And when you're moving a mind map, it's a right click. Left click does this. It selects and it doesn't move. So use the right mouse to click to move stuff around, okay? Now, I've got some very helpful stuff here for you, so I want to point this out. Up top here, and we talked about this last week, I added the, why fulfillment by Amazon, why you can sell much higher fulfillment by Amazon than you can fulfillment by merchant. I just want to keep that here so that you're mindful of this, because this is a type of arbitrage that I'm teaching most of this class is based off this arbitrage, and this is how you make most money, okay? So I also put in here the things that you should never sell. We covered this, but I wanted to pull this out and just put it here so that you always have this sort of in sight. So you can kind of glance down here. Okay, I don't want to ever sell international edition textbooks. I don't want to sell teacher's editions. I just found another one today. Some seller, this seller right here, is selling he called it a new textbook, but in the condition notes he says that this is a digital PDF version of the textbook. Okay, that's going to get him banned as a seller. And he actually was a brand new seller. Never sold anything on Amazon before, and it shows that in his account. It says brand new seller. So don't do that. Don't try to sell ebooks. I also worked on the terminology as well and kind of refined some of these that we talked about and just made the descriptions a little easier. I put the bestseller rank chart in here so it's easy for you to find. So just so you know how to use this, let's go over a quick example of that. Let me pull up a book in Amazon or really anything. So let's just look at this book right here. All right, down here is the bestseller rank for this one. It's over 1 million. All right, so over 1 million. If you look at our chart here, I just pulled that up at random. Over 1 million. It sells about 1 copy every 10 days. So it's not a very good seller. That's why I'm saying for what we're doing, we're keeping it to 350,000 or less. So right here, that's going to sell about 1 copy every 2 days. All right, and then below that, 100,000 to 10,000 to 299,000. That's about 1 copy a day. All right, that's probably generally what you're going to be finding is right here. All right, so that's the terminology. Anything else in here? And then the resources are right over here, and I'll keep adding to these resources. In fact, I've got another resource to give you today that we're going to be going over. So I've got the resources with the link to the resource. Okay, I hope that's handy for you. All right, today we're going to be talking about search methods, but first off, before we do that, I want to talk about conditions, what the different conditions are when you're looking at conditions on a book. So if we're looking, let's just pull that same book up right here. All right, and let's go to the 16 used. All right, so I'm talking about the conditions that third-party sellers denote for their books. So we have used good, used acceptable, new, and then I don't see on this one, but you also have used very good and like new. Okay, so let me go back to my mind map. This is what Amazon says about these conditions, okay? So this is Amazon's definitions of these conditions. A new book, just as it sounds, a brand new, unused, unread copy in perfect condition. The dust jacket and original protective covering, if any, are intact. Now, most of the time, you're not going to find protective covering on a book. You're not going to find a book with shrink wrap, although sometimes you do. I found a few that are like that are in shrink wrap. All supplementary materials are included, and all access codes for electronic material, if applicable, are valid. This is particularly meaningful for selling textbooks. If you're selling a new textbook and that new textbook is supposed to have a CD, then it needs to have the CD if you're listing it as new. That's one of the reasons why I don't deal a whole lot with new books. The conditioning is very strict. When you get down into the used categories, Amazon is really, this is one of the reasons why I really love Amazon for this. When you're selling the used book, even if it's a textbook, you don't have to have the supplementary material such as CDs, access codes, and all of that. In fact, Amazon actually tells the buyer, let me see if I can find this on their site so you can see where it's at. They tell the buyer that the used version does not necessarily have the supplementary material. I'm looking for that statement here, and I don't see it on this one. But they tell them, oh, right here. There we go. Very, very small print. Access codes and supplements are not guaranteed with used items. Okay? That's really, really good for us. Amazon didn't used to do that. That's a fairly new thing. And so if someone gives you bad feedback because they bought a used book from you and it didn't include the CD or it didn't include any of the other supplements, and they leave you that bad feedback, you can just contest that feedback and Amazon will remove it because, again, they don't require that with used items. So that's a big help for us sellers. Used like new. I'm just going to read Amazon's wording on this, and then I'm going to give you my opinion. Okay. Used like new. Dust jacket is intact with no nicks or tears. Now, you're not always going to have a dust jacket. Okay, so if it doesn't have a dust jacket originally, that doesn't apply. For instance, paperback books. Paperback books don't have dust jackets, so that's irrelevant. Okay, spine has no signs of creasing. Pages are clean and not marred by notes or folds of any kind. May contain remainder marks. Now, what's a remainder mark? I'll show you what a remainder mark is. It may contain remainder marks or on outside edges, which should be noted in the listing comments. Okay, let me find a remainder mark so I can show you. I was going to actually do that before class, and I forgot about it. But I can find one real quick. Say book. I've never seen one like that's unusual to see something like that. I'm going to find one that's more usual. Right here, boom. This right here is what a remainder mark is. And you think, wow, what in the world is that? What happens is if a book has gone out of publication and the publisher is no longer selling it, they will what's known as remainder their books. And what they do is they sell them to like liquidators at an extremely low price. And they put a little mark like this. And these look like they were actually kind of manually done, but there's other ones, though, that are done with a machine. And that just tells you that the book is a remainder. All right, here, there's another example right there. Right here. This is what you generally see is a mark that looks like that. You may have seen that on the corner of a book, but it just means it's a remainder, which means that the book has been sold to a liquidator because the book is out of print. All right, so Amazon is telling us that if a book has a remainder mark, that it's okay to list it in like new condition. You can't list it in new, but you can list it in like new, as long as you let the buyer know in the comments, in the listing comments, the condition comments. Okay. Okay, so my thoughts on like new condition. I don't like to list books in like new condition. And the reason why is because if someone is, if a buyer is really, really strict on their conditioning, then they're going to find something wrong with a like new book. And so instead of listing it as like new, I will always list it as very good. I can't remember the last time I listed a book as like new. If it's that good, then I'll just go ahead and list it as new, as long as it doesn't have a remainder mark. But as far as the price goes, and as you start looking at the prices of books, you'll start noticing that the like new books don't really command a higher price than the very good books. Like new, very good, and good pretty much command about the same price usually. So it's not going to help you to list as like new. You're not going to be able to sell it for a higher price, and it could potentially hurt you if you get a bad feedback because the person bought this thinking that it's going to be in new condition. Okay, so that's why I stay away from like new. All right, next one is very good. Pages and dust cover are intact and not marred by notes or highlighting. The spine is undamaged. They don't really tell us a whole lot about the very good condition. Very good also means that on the inside of the book, there's no highlighting at all on the inside. And there is extremely light or no writing or notes in the book. So maybe you got one page where someone has underlined one thing. You know, that's still in very good condition. The big thing is highlighting. If anything is highlighted in the book, then it's going to drop it down to a good condition. Okay, at least good condition. Other than that, pages and dust jacket are intact and not marred by notes. That's pretty much it. Again, books don't necessarily have dust jackets. And so if it's a paperback book, it's not going to have a dust jacket. Used good condition, all pages and cover are intact, including the dust jacket if applicable. Spine may show signs of wear. Pages may include limited notes, and highlighting may include from the library of labels. Okay? That's pretty much self-explanatory. Basically, if you've got a book that is generally kind of looks like it's in very good condition, but it's got some highlighting or it's got notes on the inside, then just put it down as in good condition. Again, there's just not a whole lot of difference price-wise in these three conditions, and so I always err on the side of the buyer, and if I think there's any reason why the book is not in very good, I'll just put it in good condition. Okay? That way you're not going to get any bad feedback, and on the other hand, you tend to get good feedback because people get the book and it's in better condition than what they think it is or what they think it will be. Okay? Very important to protect your feedback. All right, and then finally, acceptable. I don't like to list books that are just acceptable condition. All pages and cover are intact, but the dust cover may be missing. Okay, this is where if you've got a missing dust cover, dust jacket. A book that would normally have a dust jacket is missing. Now, how do you know that? Well, you just look at the book on Amazon and see if it has the dust jacket on the one on Amazon. Pages may include limited notes and highlighting, but the text cannot be obscured or unreadable. In this case, you have a situation where there's a lot more highlighting or notes. As long as the text can still be read, it's considered acceptable. A lot of people will list books in acceptable condition that are water damaged or even missing pages. Don't do that. A book that's water damaged or missing pages is actually, according to Amazon, in an unacceptable condition, and you're not supposed to sell it. Okay, so includes missing pages and obscured or unreadable text. We do not permit the sale of advanced reading copies, including uncorrected proofs or in-print or not yet published books. All right, so that's what I talked about on Friday with the never sell, uncorrected proofs, and it'll be marked. Okay, it's easy to recognize. It'll have a mark, a stamp on there that says uncorrected proof, or it may even say do not sell on the cover. All right, and then they have another condition called unsellable books, which they don't even define what that is. That's probably more like the water damaged books, but don't even try to sell any of these. And the only type of book that I would sell that was acceptable condition would be one that's missing a dust jacket. The book is in great condition otherwise, maybe a few highlighting or whatever, but it's just missing a dust jacket. Then I would list it as acceptable condition. What I find a lot of times, though, when I buy books from FBM sellers, they list them as acceptable. And I talked about this last week. Or on Friday. They list them as acceptable, but they're actually more like either in good or very good condition. All right, so when I relist them as good or very good, just because they are, the seller is very strict on the conditioning. Okay, so that pretty much covers the conditions, and you're going to get more of that training when I do the listing session. And the listing session is where I'm going to list books and we'll let you watch me as I list them. And that session is going to be coming up on Friday. Okay? So this coming Friday, I'll have a box of books and I'll go through them one at a time and show you what the book is and list it and show you how I price it, show you how I set the condition and what I put into the condition notes. Okay, because that's pretty much all you need to list a book, a third-party book that we're doing. You need to know what the condition is. You need to put in some condition notes. You need to know what your price is going to be, and you need to know the quantity that you have to sell. All right, so we'll be doing that on Friday in Friday's class. All right, now I missed one question. I'm sorry. I told you I was going to cover it, and I totally forgot. Let me go back and get it. Deborah wants to know, she says, you mentioned getting Amazon to label your books. Can you please explain? Okay, so Amazon has an option where they will put the label on your book, and actually it's not just books. Anything you send Amazon, they have an option to allow them to label it. It costs 20 cents to do that. Cost you 20 cents. And I recommend you just let them do it because I find it to be much easier. I don't have to fool with printing out labels on a printer, and it's just 20 cents. The types of books that we're selling, there's plenty of profit margin to cover that. All right, and you also said, is looking for hardback preferred over paperback? No. And if you go back and listen to the last class, I talked about hardback versus paperback, but there's literally no difference. Okay, now let's get into some searching methods. All right. So first off, the very first search method that I used doing book arbitrage was simply going through and doing a category search in Amazon. Let me show you how to do that. It's very simple. I'm going to pull up a browser window here. All right, we don't need this anymore. Let me just open another one. All right, so over here, when you go to Amazon's homepage, you can click on the departments here and just go down to books. All right, and then click on, don't put a search in, just click on it and let it search for everything. There we go. And that puts you into the Amazon book department where they're going to show you several things up top. They're going to show you some of the popular categories here. But what we want to do, and they've got other things here like popular, award winners, bargain books, best books of the month. Ignore that. That's completely, it's not useful to us in this context, okay? But come down, and they've even got textbooks here too. And we'll go back and look at this, but what I want to show you is right here. Under books, they have tons and tons of categories of books. Now, let me pull up the mind map again. On top of this, in class 1, I talked about the different types of books to look for, the categories, and I talked about something that I called pseudo textbooks. These are textbooks that aren't really textbooks per se. They're not published by a textbook company, but they can be used as textbooks in that they can be used in college classes by certain professors. Okay, a professor teaching a women's study group or a women's rights group or women's rights class may want the students to read this certain book written by this certain feminist. Okay, so that's what I mean by a pseudo textbook. So one of the ways to kind of find those is to go and look in the different categories here that would have potentially pseudo textbooks. So just ask yourself this question. Under books, arts and photography, are there classes taught about photography? Are there classes taught about art? Well, sure. So there could potentially be some pseudo textbooks in here. Biographies and memoirs could be taught in history, business and money, absolutely. Calendars, no. That's no good. Children's books, no. I mean, sure, there may be some children's book classes, but generally no. Christian books and Bibles, these, there are Christian studies, there are religious studies, but I find I have not found anything in this category that's any good. Comics and graphic novels, not pseudo textbooks, but that is one of the categories that I list in the mind map that I've sold before that has some potential value. Computers and technology, yes, definitely. Cookbooks, cookbooks, food and wine, not really. I'm sure there's some cooking classes or whatever, but just really doesn't qualify as pseudo textbooks. Crafts, hobbies, and home, not really. Education and teaching, yeah, there could be some in there that are pseudo textbooks. Engineering and transportation, sure. Gay and lesbian, yeah, absolutely. I mean, like equal rights types classes, things like that, very possible. Health, fitness, and dieting, not really. History, yeah. Humor and entertainment, no. Law, yes. So you know what I'll do? I'll go through here and just for each one of these major categories, and there's only like, 35 of these. I'll just go through these and put them in the mind map and say if I think that there's potential for pseudo textbooks in in which ones of these categories. Make it a little easier. But let's go ahead and let's go into one of these, and let's just take a look around. Arts and photography. All right. And then I'm going to drill down into a subcategory just to make it a little easier to see here. So let's go into architecture. Man, I mean, that could be a really great category because architecture is definitely taught in buildings. Why not? Let's go to buildings. Wow, this is really, really deep category. So let's look at residential. No particular reason. All right, now we have this. This gets us down to about 8,000 books. All right, so now we can just start looking at these books. I want to find something where the Amazon price is higher, is quite a bit higher than the used and new. And I can look, I can spot this right from looking at it right here. All right. And I haven't been pre-selecting this or anything, so I'm just going about this blind right now. I don't think I've ever even looked in this category before. Okay, right here, the hardcover is $25.47, and they have used and new from $6.85. That could be a potential right there. I'm going to see if I can find something better, though. Let's keep going through here. All right. Oh, look at this one. Temporarily out of stock. I like seeing that. I like seeing it out of stock. Although the lowest one is $35.02. Let's just see. Let's see what this is. I'm going to open this in a new window. Okay, I want to see what the FBA ones look like. Okay, the only FBA there is the Amazon one, and it's out of stock. So there are no other FBA ones. But the lowest one, cheapest one we can buy right now is $35.02 plus shipping. So that one's probably not good. I'll show you later on in this class how to set a price check. And this would be a good one to do that on. That's where you get notified when a book is listed, when a third party lists the book at a price that you want to buy it at, okay? And then also notice right over here, Amazon, trade in. Amazon will give you $10.85 for this book on a gift card, like I talked about last week. We don't want to do that, but it's good to know that they value this book. And, they're out of stock right now, so they're definitely looking for that book. This one, okay, so $50. It's out of stock, and there's 13 offers, also $50. So it's not a good one. So we're looking for something where we can buy the book at quite a bit cheaper than what Amazon has it listed at. And we're just kind of eyeballing them. Okay, here's a potential one. $4.10, and it's selling right now for $19.12. Let's see what. $7.81 and $25.64. So that's definitely one that we could take a look at. Okay, so $7.81. There's several of them available too, and they're selling for FBA $21.50. That's a good sign. All right, so I could buy actually, and the price is going up a little bit, but we could actually buy probably 3 or 4 of these. Now, this is a great one to point out what I was telling you before. You see this right here? Used and like new. Okay? The price for used and like new is actually less than the used and good. All right, so as I was saying, there's not a whole lot of difference in the price for like new, good, and very good. I don't even see a very good on. Yeah, there's a very good right there, and it's at $8.98. So the difference between used very good and used like new, well, used like new is cheaper. It's just how this seller decided to list it. So all of these books here, probably down. I wouldn't get this one, but I would probably buy, maybe 2 or 3 of these, pick out the best ones, and then sell them as FBA. Now, one thing we need to do is we need to check to see the ranking of this book. Let's see if it's a good ranking. Oh man, 28,000. Okay, now 28,000. Let's go back to our chart and let's take a look at 28,000. All right, there's our chart. 28,000 is right here. All right, so that's selling 1 copy a day of that book. And that's good. I mean, that's really good. And actually, at 28,000, this chart maybe needs to be a little more granular, but it's probably selling more like 3 to 5 copies a day. All right, because there are quite a few increments between 299,000 and 10,000. But anyway, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Okay, and when we find one like this, it's not just finding the one book. We're looking for multiple books, and we're not, well, let me rephrase that. When we find multiple books that we can buy, that's a plus, okay? So it's not just the one, it's several. And in this case, we found one, 2, acceptable. Let's just X that one out. Not even look at that one. We're gonna look at this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One of you has already picked up the one that's in light new condition. All right, very good. I'm not going to chastise you for that, for taking action. So I see at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I see 7 that would be potential buys. I would not buy more than 2 or 3 just because I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. There might be some unknown out there, but I'm risking very little money here. See, I'm risking $7.81 plus $3.99 shipping for each one of these. So not a whole lot of money with the potential of making a lot more, or potential of having a great return on investment. All right. All right, so that's how you go through the categories, just sort of a 20,000-foot view of narrowing down into a category. One of the things that you can look at over here is sorting, and you can sort from highest to lowest. Most people will want to sort from lowest to highest, but we can sort from highest to lowest to kind of see the high-price books and kind of drill down from there. A lot of times, though, the higher price they are, the less popular they are. So this one here, I mean, this is a $473 book. This would probably have a bestseller rank that's very high. Yeah, 3 million. There's potentials when I would buy or flip a book like that, but not right now. And I wouldn't suggest it just starting out. All right, and then you can come down here and just kind of skip forward in the paging. Prefab homes, so that's $56. It's not that high. Yeah, $5 million. Sometimes the sorting doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because here's one. This one's $675, and this one's $15.87. But then down here, this one's $12. So I'm not really sure how Amazon is calculating that sort there. And I would like to find books that are more like in the $200 range. So anyway, that's just another way you can sort it. I've not found that to be as helpful as it should be, just by going with the normal search, which is just featured. All right, let's go in. All right, so let me go back again, because we were just in here. Okay, so books, arts and photography, architecture, buildings, and residential. And so that leaves still just tons and tons of other subcategories, and we barely even touched the surface of that one. But one of the things that you can do, if you start seeing patterns, like if you see a certain type of book that you find two or more that are good arbitrage opportunities, then look over here to the left and look to see if you can find any commonalities between them. Maybe, for instance, maybe you're finding that Thomas Jefferson as an author, that his stuff is good to flip. Well, then start looking at all of his books, all right? And I'm just throwing that out just as a random example, but you'll start to see commonalities once you get into a category and you start specializing in that particular category. So, you could specialize in arts and photography and spend all your time looking for books just in arts and photography, because there are so many different subcategories in here. And then you'll start to see certain commonality. Remember how I said that one of the categories I like to look at is physics? That's how I found that category. I just started looking, and I started finding commonality. I started finding books to flip in the physics category. It started paying off, and now I start looking. That's one of the first places I look is physics. And I've just told everyone that, and so I'm sure that everyone will be competing in that category. So pick different categories to go into. There's tons of them on Amazon. Okay, so let's go on to the next search method. The trade and search, and we talked about this some last week, and I wanted you to see if you could find some books using the trade and search. And I'm going to go there now. I misspelled Amazon, but it doesn't matter. Oops. Where's that? There. All right, and we click on books, and now we're in the Amazon trading category for books, and then textbooks. All right, so now is the audience participation part of this workshop. Anybody find anything decent, or anybody find anything they want me to look at? I know I assigned that as homework on Friday, so any books to look at? All right, Deborah. I can't copy this number. I'm going to have to see if I can just type it in. Zero 131591223. Okay, when you type in your example, type in the ISBN and the first part of the title, just so I make sure when I type it in that I'm getting it right. Weed control and grass and ornaments. Okay, so trade-in value of $3.45. Let's look to see. Oh, nice. Price is $93.40. Let's see what the... No, this is not good because the bestseller rank is over 3 million. Now, we could see if it could potentially, you know, in textbook season, or if there's any other season when it goes up. It hits, you know, about 240,000. It looks like it hit that back in April. And then another pop in September. What kind of book is this? Weed Control in Turf and Ornamentals? Is this coinciding, not necessarily with the textbook season, but does this coincide with like aeration season? Like right here is when people aerate their lawns. So maybe people who are in the lawn aeration business, maybe this is something that they look for, a particular book they look for. Could be. So if you could find one, and then right here again in March and April, are people doing stuff to their lawn potentially? All right, so this one, the fulfillment by merchant prices are quite a bit lower. However, I just don't see that there's enough demand for this book during a certain season. I mean, definitely a couple of times a year, the demand gets down or gets to the point where it's about 250,000, but that's just too much risk. If I could buy this book for $5, then it would be, you know, it'd be something to consider. All right, so let's look at the next one. I missed how to get the trade-in. Okay, Amazon doesn't provide a link to the trade-in that I can find, and so just go to Google. And just type in Amazon trade-in. All right, and usually it's the first link, just Amazon trade-in, just click that. And then find books down here, click that, and that'll put you there. And then I just search for textbooks. All right, so the next one, okay, 735232224. Whoops, nothing comes up. 735232224. Unfortunately, I can't copy and paste from my chat window, so and that's not coming up. Perhaps there is a 0 on the beginning of it. Yeah, that's probably what it was. Probably a 0. It's supposed to be a 0 on the beginning of it. So this one, Amazon is offering a whopping amount of $1.30. But we see here that hardcover is $244.04. There's more buying choices here. Okay, so these are all rentals, so we ignore those. You look at the first one that we can actually buy. It's $120.54. All right, let's look at the fulfilled by Amazon. Yeah, I see $130. So no, this would not be a good one because I can't buy it from a third-party seller. The cheapest I can buy it for is $130, and it's selling for about $120. Actually, that's opposite. I can buy it for $120, and right now I can sell it for $130.90. Now let's look at the chart and see if that could potentially go up. Chart's a little bit slow coming up, but there it is. All right, so let's look at our sales rank, and for 1 year, and yeah, definitely in January. I mean, definitely look, we're like right here right now. That was a year ago, but right here, and then in January it drops down to, wow, 2,000, 3,000 in ranking, which is an excellent ranking. And then again in September, August, September, it does the same thing. All right, and looking at prices, so it looks like January, oops, a year ago, where's January? I think I messed up my chart. Let me reload the page. I clicked on the chart and it caused it to resize. There it is, used. And we're looking at last year's numbers, okay? So the thing we need to know about these third-party tools like Keepa and Camel is that they're pulling information by scraping Amazon, and they're not always totally accurate, but when it says, like right here, it says used book sold for $115.99, then we can be sure that that book sold for $115.99. There could have been other books that sold at a higher price, but they don't capture every single sale that goes through. All right, so that's at least that much, $115.99. But we can't buy it cheap enough to be sure that we're going to make a profit on that. So that's not one that I would consider doing. All right. Let's look at another one. 00073390. Oh, 0073390. Okay, thermodynamics. I think you're probably talking about this one right here. All right, Amazon's price is $293.09, and the lowest price here is $62. Okay, that's got some potential there. All right, and like new condition, and look at this, the very next one down is $107.79, and again, the one that's in like new condition is actually cheaper than the one that's just in very good condition. All right, so let's look at, and this is fulfillment by merchant right here. Okay, all these are fulfillment by merchant. Let's look at fulfillment by Amazon by clicking here. Okay, so and this one is almost $150, and the next one's $179.99. Let's look at the ranking on these. Okay, and this one, we don't have a whole lot of history because this is probably a fairly new book. It only goes back 48 days, or for some reason Keepa could not pull the data for this one. So we only have about 48 days that we can look at. But we can look at what the ranking is right now. And right now it is 51,000. That's a really good ranking. And so I think this would be a good one. Yeah, let's go back to the product information again and look at this. Yeah, 49,770. So it's already selling well, and it's going to sell even better come January. Now, one of the things that I really like to see here is when I go here and I see a big price discrepancy between the top one and the next one. See that? It goes from $62 to $107. That's a very good indication that this one is priced too low, and it's a good buy. Okay, so yeah, that would be a good one to buy and relist. All right, let me do a couple more. 1451183.909. Rubin's Pathology. Okay, $105.34. Oh, look at this, $13.94 new and used. So let's go and look at this one. I want to see the ranking of 67,000 is the ranking. Very good. Okay, and used $13.94 is the low. We've got several in there. Let's look at FBA. Oh yeah, yeah. Bingo, that's a very good one. I want to show you this again now. I didn't even look at the chart yet. I don't even need to look at the chart because at this point I know this one is good. Just because the ranking on it is like below 100,000. We can buy this for $13.94 plus $3.99 shipping. So how many of these could we buy before it got to be too expensive? All right, this one, maybe this one. Let's see what else this says. Expedited orders received in 4 to 5 days. They don't really tell us a whole lot about the condition here. So I'd probably skip that one. Look at this one. All right, this is telling us it's got missing or damaged dust jacket. This is a very broad category note. They probably put this exact text with every single book they list in used condition because they're processing them very fast. I'm just guessing here. They're probably processing them very fast, and so they just have a boilerplate note that they put in. So in this case, they're saying that it could have a missing or damaged dust jacket. So I would probably just skip that one, especially if I've got some other options here. Okay, and this one right here says may not contain supplements, but that doesn't matter. All right, for used books. So anyway, there's a couple of them here that look good. All right, and potentially 2 more. I mean, for that low of a price, you might want to take a chance on that. But at least 2 of them here, and they will, they're selling right now for $66.08. All right, and notice how very few listed there are. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only 5 listed that are fulfilled by Amazon. If we want to take a look at the chart here, we can also do that, but I would pull the trigger on that one without even looking at the chart just because the numbers look really good. So let's look at the ranking. So you see right here, you see that dip right here, that hook, how pronounced that is, that the ranking just improves and improves and improves in January. All right, and then yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to look at anyway. I mean, I pulled the trigger on that one. All right, let's look at one more. That was a really good one, whoever came up with that one. And it's really good because it's not just that one book. It's also the fact that we can get more than one. We can buy at least 2. Okay, 0323. Let me. Fundamentals of Nursing. Okay, we see that the Amazon price is $111.84. Okay, let's look at new and used. These are rentals, so we're going to ignore the rentals. Wow, let's go back here. There we go. Okay, the lowest price one that's not a rental is $70.54 plus $3.99 shipping. Let's see what the FBA is. So the FBA on this one's $109. Probably not enough money to make profit on that. You could buy a few of these, it looks like, but you're risking $75 in order to make $109. Now, if we wanted to take it a little further, we could see if there's a potential for the price increasing next month. All right, so in textbook season. All right, so we can look at used there. Looks like the price used 130, although it looks like what happened here, this book didn't start selling until March of last year. There's not any history for beyond that point. Okay, so we've only got history going back to March, $130.50. So yeah, I mean, it looks like the price is definitely going to increase. But you're going to have to pay $70 and $75 for the book. That one might just be a good one to do, but I would be a little hesitant just because the investment is like $75. You know, there's better ones. There's better ones out there, like the prior one we just found. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, Sherry, let me do this one as well. Oh, 7339820. This one right here. That's the one you're looking at, yeah. So $284. Wow, great. Okay, so let's look at the used ones. Yeah, I mean this one. Let's take a look at the bestseller rank. Look for the chart to come up. Bestseller rank is it's about 100,000 right now. Let me go back to the product page. 106,000. All right, and we definitely see right here, see that hook? See how that gets down into the 2,289 level come January. All right, and last December it was right here, and it was, let me move this over, because this is a great example. So this time last year, that book was, it's hard to see because I can't see the edge. Okay, it looks like it was 93,941 this time last year. And right now it's about 106. And this one got down to a ranking of 889, so below 1,000. So it was selling a lot. Book ranked at 1,000 is selling 15 copies a day. So that book is selling 15 copies a day. And the price of it right now, FBA, is $250, $249.87. So that's what you can sell it for right now. But it's going to cost you there's a like new one, $179.95 plus $4 shipping. So will you be able to sell this book for $300 come next month? Very possibly, very possibly. But you're going to have to invest, that much money to be able to do that. All right, so I suggest you stick with the ones that are lower price, where you can make a little bit of money, buy multiple copies of the same book, and have much less risk. How about paperbacks? Yeah, I mean, paperbacks, it doesn't matter. What matters is the numbers. The numbers you see here. The sales rank, you want to see that sales rank dipping right here in January. You want to see that. And you want to see the numbers working out to where you can buy them low and sell them in January higher. Okay, so let's go on to the next way of searching for books. that was a trade-in search, and some of you had some really good books there. So very proud of those. Lola says the paperback version is less expensive for this book. Okay, but just take a look at it. Look at the numbers. I can do that real quick. Let's go back here and look at paperback, and let's see if that's a good potential. All right, so notice how you can just change tabs here. I went to the paperback version. So it's selling, it's $70.65. Interesting, the new ones are selling for less than the used ones on the paperback version. Anytime that happens, I like to take a look at it and see what's going on. So let's do that. All right, so let's click on new. Because before I said I would rather sell a used book than a new book, but there's nothing wrong with buying a new book if you can get it cheaper and then just selling it as used. Okay, can you sell a new book as a used book? Absolutely. And usually this happens when there is a shortage of the books. There becomes this discrepancy between new and used. But again, just look at the numbers. All right, can I buy this book right now and then sell it as FBA? So right now I'd pay $30.15 plus $4 shipping, and I can sell it for, okay, look at this. There is no FBA for this book. None. So there's none new, there's none used. So this is sort of a wide open one here. Let's look at the chart now and see what the chart says. Definitely see that hook there where the sales rank goes down. Like right here, you can see it went down to like 56,000, 45,000, 34,000 in January, right in the middle of January, 39,000. So the popularity is definitely going to increase in January. And there are no FBA offers right now. So this presents a great opportunity. If you were to buy, if you had this book here and buy it for $34, including shipping, then you could go back and list it and you would be the only FBA seller. So that's a good situation to be in. So yeah, that would be a good one to do. All right, so thank you, Lola, for pointing that out. Would you buy out the FBMs? I think you mean FBM inventory. I wouldn't buy it out because I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. I want to spread my risk over several different books. It says printed in India. Okay, so if one says printed in India, yeah, that's definitely a concern. Do you see that on this book? Yeah, this one says this is a paperback edition printed in India. Yeah, definitely. Remember I said international, don't buy, so always read the condition notes. Immediately dispatched from the UK. Well, if it's from the UK, it's probably international condition. But here's one, it's brand new, about the same price. Okay, so there's at least one there. Yeah, UK is definitely a foreign edition, and you can't sell it as in the US. Okay, let's go on to the next search, trade-in search. Okay, and then just a plain textbook search. All right, that's simply using the textbook category on Amazon. Let me get my windows up here. Hang on just a second. I've got to move stuff around. All right. All right, so if you're looking in, go back to the books department, which is here. And then textbooks is when in doubt, always just search for something blank. Just leave this blank and then hit search, and that'll take you back to the main page. So that's what I just did. And over here on the left, you can see the textbooks, textbook store, and then there are categories here for the actual textbooks. So just like we searched in the main categories, these are now actually searching for specific categories of textbooks. All right, and you can do the same thing right here. Just look for the higher price here with a lower price here, and then look to see if that makes sense for an arbitrage. I told you that one of the categories I like to look at is physics. So right before class started, I started looking in the textbook category. I found this one in physics, quantum physics, a functional integral point of view. So this one, $119. So let's take a quick look at this one. I forgot what the ranking was. The ranking's 109,000. It's selling for $119, and I can get it for $9.52. All right. Now let's make absolutely sure that makes sense. So I'm going to click on the free shipping for FBA, and I see here, wow, that's a really good one because FBA is $101 right now, and we're not even in textbook season. All right, so let's look at the conditions here. Great reading, study copy may have highlights and or notes. Okay, and that's pretty much a book in good condition. All right, that's good. So I could buy at least a couple of these in that condition, maybe even a couple more at that price, because I said the price of it was $101.15. And this will probably be going up come January when textbook season's here. Let's look at it right here. Sales rank. Yeah, last year in January, you see how there was a dip right here? It was 248,000, and it's already now at 100 and some thousand. So it looks like this book is going to be even more popular this year. Another one. And this again is in the physics category. $160, you can buy it for $55. Yeah, you look, see this right here? And this one is brand new. There's only one listed, and it's by Amazon, and they're out of stock. So this is the same thing as not having any FBA available because Amazon is out of stock. So anybody who wants this book right now is going to have to get it through Fulfilled by Merchant. And right now there's one listed at $55, and it's brand new. It even says it's shrink wrapped. So if I were buying that one, all right, so this is where you can really make some money, because there are none out there that are available through FBA. There's one listed, but you can't buy it because Amazon's out of stock. When I bought this, I would put this one back up, and I would sell it for, I'd list it for $199. That's higher than Amazon's price, but Amazon's out of stock. Okay, so that's a really good one. All right, let's look at another one. And this, again, this is all within the physics category. That's all I looked at just right before class, just to see what I could come up with. All right, this one here, this one, $283. It's $121. All right, I don't want to see rentals. I only want to see new and used. Okay. So $206.49 is the lowest FBA price, and I could buy it for $121. So there's definitely some profit in there, but it's a little bit more of an investment. And notice this book, definitely the ranking is going to get really good in January. I saw a 10,000, there's a 10,000, 13,000. So it's going to be really selling well in January. So what I would do with this book, I really don't want to pay $121.89, even though I am confident that it will go up to probably, you know, probably $250 or more. There's very few available. Look, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 available. So it's very, very likely this book is going to skyrocket. But what I would do is, I'm going to go back over here to Camel. This is a really cool feature of Camel. I'm not sure if Keepa has this feature or not, but I usually just use, or I always just use Camel to do this. And let me show you. So let's say on this book, that's not the right one. That's not the right one either. It's this one here. Let's say on this book right here, I'm willing to pay, let's say I'm willing to pay $60 for this book. All right, but it's not available for 60 bucks right now. But what I can do is I can go out to Camel, and I can set a price alert, and I can say, all right, Camel, third party used. Right now, the current price is $122.01. If this book gets down to, let's say, $60. All right, and they'll even give you some suggestions here. They'll say a good deal on this book would be $74.46. All right, let me take that suggestion, $74.46. And they say the best price. This is the best price they've had and the lowest they've seen. All right, so I'm going to put $74.46 in here, and then I'm going to click on Start Tracking. All right, now I'm already signed up in my account, so you've got to be logged in. If you don't have an account, you can sign up. It's absolutely free. They do this for free for you. But so now, if the price third party gets down to $74.46 or lower, then Camel is going to email me and tell me that book's available at my price. Okay? And then I can just go quickly click on the book and buy it and relist it. All right? So you can have hundreds of books like that listed through Camel. Now, if you run out, you can only have a certain amount per account. And I think it's 100. But what you do is just sign up for another Camel account with a different email address. There's no limit to how many you can have. And they're free, so it doesn't cost you anything. This is a great service. That way, pretty much any book that looks like a pretty good book, but the price is too high, then just go ahead and set an alert so that you'll get notified when someone lists this book at a price that you'll buy it at. Okay? And right now is the perfect time to be doing that, because in December is the slowest time of the year for textbooks. All right, that's why this is a great time to be buying the textbooks, because they're at the lowest price, and then January is the best time to sell them. All right, so just do what I said. All right, so just go here, set the price for used and whatever price point that you're looking for. All right, if you want to go ahead and set it for new too, you can do that as well. If we're doing that, I would just set it for whatever the good deal is here. Okay, and there's really no reason to set it for Amazon, because Amazon is, I mean, that's different. That's not third party. Okay. Those are three. Let me show you another method for searching. This is the really cool one. This is the one that you're really going to love. All right. We're going to do, it's sort of a reverse search, reverse college course search. So instead of going to Amazon and trying to reverse engineer which books are going to be going up in value, then what we do is we look to find the colleges, what the colleges are, what their curriculum is. Now, how in the world do you do that? Well, it's actually really simple. You just enter the search into Google. So I've got a couple of searches here you can start with. College class textbook list. So if you go, I've got an example I want to show you right here. Okay, so I did this search here, college class textbook list, just like that. And one of the first ones I see is course list Wells College. Actually, this one is the first. I didn't look at this one, but I pulled up this one from Wells College. All right, and this is, I just want to show you this example because this is really cool. All right, so once you pull that up, you click on it, it's going to look something like this. Okay, this is the course list, and you want to make sure that you're looking at the current year. Okay, so you can see right here, 2017. That's the term. All right, and then just start looking through the books here and see what they're requiring their students to buy for their upcoming classes. Now, most colleges are not going to have their curriculum listed online. A lot of times it's going to be only the students can see it, so you're going to have a password to get into it. But it doesn't matter, though. Enough of them do to give us sort of a taste for what books are popular this year. So if a book shows up on one college list, it's probably going to be on 20 other college lists. All right. So let's look through here, and I just looked at a couple of these, but I found one in here. And actually, you know, go through here and take a look at all these books. But one I looked at in particular was this one here, Signing Naturally. Yeah, right here. Signing Naturally. This is the catalog number, which is the ISBN. All right, so just copy that. And you can see here that they've got an estimated price of $84.95 and used is $63.75. So you can kind of see what the price was when they created this list, which was probably, you know, at least a couple of months ago. All right, so if we go here and search for that book, it's going to show up right here on Amazon. So you see it. It's this one here, right here. When in doubt, when you see more than one come up, click on the one that has the most sellers. All right, this one has 44, so we're going to click on this one. And just make sure that it's the exact same one. CDs only, yep, okay. With 2 CDs, okay. DVD, that's DVDs. Let's see if the other one's CDs. Well, it's coming up with that ISBN, so it's got to be this one. Oops. All right, looks like this is no longer a good one. I've found this earlier, and there was one listed out there at much lower, but it looks like someone has already picked it up. I wish I'd done that myself, but I wanted to show it as an example, and now I can't. But anyway, that's the way you do that, just going through and looking at the books that are listed under the curriculum. Now, another thing you can do with this, let's just look at this one a little deeper. You can see how many colleges are using that book. So if you just type in course list and then the ISBN number, then you can get an indication for how many other colleges are requiring that book. And like I said, most colleges are not going to show up in Google, but you can get a good indication of which ones are just by doing that search. So this tells you that that's going to be a popular book come January, because there's a lot of colleges that have that on their curriculum list. Okay, is that pretty cool or what? All right, great. Yeah, I don't think you're going to find that level of research anywhere else. I don't know of anyone else that's looking at the actual course list to come up with textbooks. One of the things that we're going to be working on for the future is grabbing all of these different course lists and then putting them in some kind of software to where you can get a number for how many colleges are offering this and the different prices and things like that. So that's something that we're working on for the future. Should we buy a book that's listed as collectible as long as the numbers work out? Just because it's listed as collectible does not mean that you should not buy it. Generally, if a book is listed as collectible, if there's some reason that it's collectible, you know, it's a first edition, it's a first print, something like that, that generally makes the price higher. But if the numbers work out, then go ahead and buy it. There's no reason not to. And textbooks are not going to be collectible, you know, not modern textbooks. All right, so let's see. I've gone over quite a bit more than I wanted to, so let's see if we got anything else here. That's pretty much all I wanted to cover for that. So go ahead and start searching and start coming up with books that are potential arbitrage books. Do that. You know, use these other search methods that I covered today to find more books and start buying books. You know, what I suggest you do for right now, start looking at the ones that you can buy for, you know, under $10. Try to find a couple of books you can buy for under $10 that you can flip. Edie and Frank, I see your request about the password. I will, why don't you email me immediately after we're finished, and then I'll make sure that you get access. Not sure why you're not able to log in, but we'll get it figured out. Okay, so now a couple of other things that we need to cover. Number one, people who are international. I'm going to put up a video for you in the members area that's going to cover how you can arbitrage books in the U.S. Okay, so you won't have to have them. You won't have to ship them from your location. We're going to use a prep service. This is only if you're international. So if you're in the U.S., don't worry about this. If you're in the international, then we're going to set up a prep service where they can help you do that. Okay, and I'm going to put that video into the members area this week with all the details on how to do that. So it's a few more steps for you if you're international, but definitely can be done. And it's cost-wise, it's not gonna cost you a whole lot. There is a charge for the prep service, but it's very small. Okay, second thing, I had a lot of people when I asked in the last class if you were interested in arbitrage method number 3, which is offline arbitraging. Offlining from local sources. So I'm going to cover that in a special class. I don't want to take time out of the textbook arbitrage to do that. So I'm just going to have a special class where I'm just going to do that all at once. And I'm going to do that Wednesday, this coming Wednesday at 6 o'clock Eastern time. I'm going to add that class to our class webinar list. And if you're not able to attend Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Then it'll be recorded and put in the members area. If you're not interested in doing that, just don't watch that video, okay? Because it'll be all encompassing as far as doing offline arbitrage. And yeah, you'll get a reminder of that. I'm going to put it into the curriculum today, as soon as we finish here, and then you'll get it. You'll get an invite. International people can't do that. That's a question. Yeah, you could, as long as you have a Amazon Marketplace that you can send your books into. But if you're someplace where there is no Amazon Marketplace, like for instance, I don't think there's a Singapore Amazon Marketplace, then I don't believe you'd be able to do that. Okay, so I think that's it. All right, Bill, I'm going to look at yours real quick. Okay, Bill, let me put this one in, 9781566394031. Okay, let's look at the bestseller rank on this real quick. I'm afraid it might not be. So it's 605 right now. Let's see if this one, if the rank, if it indicates it's going to improve come January. Yeah, last January it got down to 83,000. So I mean, you can kind of see here, not a pronounced hook, but definitely got down into very good range right here around January the 15th of last year, and then again in September got down into a good range. So let's look to see. You can buy this book right now for $5.21. Let's see what FBA says. Okay, yeah, definitely one that I would take a chance on, because you can get it for, now this is acceptable condition. Read before you purchase book, acceptable condition, ISBN. Yeah, this to me kind of looks more like probably a good condition rather than acceptable condition. It says that the cover shows light scratches, light bent corners. That's no big deal. That's not enough for it to be out of the good condition. Some pages with bent corners, that's no big deal. So I think this is probably be a good one to buy for $8. Maybe even this one. All right, and then right now it's selling for $30, $29.27, and we're not even in textbook season. So I anticipate that this price will definitely go up come January. There's only 3 listed right now, so those will get gone real quick. One of the other things that I'm going to do this textbook season, and I'm actually starting this tomorrow, is I'm going to start tracking about 200 different books. And the reason I'm doing that is so I can show you the prices, how the prices go up in textbook season. Because even if you don't catch this textbook season, then we've got another textbook season that's coming right up starting in July. So you can learn on this one and then apply what you're learning to the next textbook season as well. All right, so you'll get access to that. Basically, just research, just showing you, hey, this book was priced at this price in December, and then in January it went up to this price. I think that'll be really helpful for you. Okay, so that's it for this week. I'll send out an email letting you know about the international class. I'm sorry, about the international video when I get that posted, as well as the extra class that we're going to have on Wednesday. Okay? So everybody excited? Is this good stuff? Are you learning? Are you learning from this? Okay, excellent. I like to see the excitement here. Okay, excellent. I will see you probably on Wednesday then, if not then, on Friday. Have a great, what is this, Sunday? Have a great week. Oh, by the way, this coming Friday will be our listing class. That's when I'm going to show you how I list my books. Okay, so I'll see you then. Goodbye.